Alex Smith's career was a roller coaster, from number 1 overall pick to a huge draft bust, to one play away from the Super Bowl to getting replaced on both of his next teams, and having one of the worst injuries in NFL history that could have left him without a leg and even his life. This is what you don't know about Alex Smith and his incredible career, and how he came back from not just injury, but much, much more, and has become one of the NFL's greatest comeback stories. Smith's college career was as good as almost any in history. In his first year starting at the University of Utah, Smith recorded 20 total touchdowns and only 4 turnovers, which led to the Utah Utes with their first-year head coach Urban Meyer to a 10-2 record. In the following 2004 season, Smith was even better, finishing 4th in the Heisman vote with 42 total touchdowns and only 4 turnovers. Smith was also known in college for being extremely smart, having 64 credit hours earned before even attending college. He also began to work on his master's degree before being drafted. In total, Smith finished his college career with 62 total touchdowns and only 8 interceptions. And in his final year, he led all college in average yards per play, which is funny because he became known in the NFL as a game manager. The 2005 NFL Draft to this day is highlighted by 2 quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers and Alex Smith. And obviously tons of people saw Alex Smith as the clear-cut number 1 pick, but plenty of people still thought Aaron Rodgers had just as much chance. He had more talent to work with and should be the number 1 overall in the draft. And since Aaron Rodgers was a lifelong 49ers fan and grew up in Chico, California, only a 3-hour drive to San Francisco, it just made sense. But when the time came, it shocked a lot of football fans when the San Francisco 49ers selected Alex Smith from the University of Utah. And although it seems like a nightmare that Aaron Rodgers lasted to pick 24 and had to sit behind Brett Favre for years to come, that would be like a dream compared to Alex Smith's first years in the NFL. In his first year starting in 2005, Alex Smith started 9 games and threw 11 interceptions and only 1 touchdown, with a 50 completion rate. He missed the rest of the season with multiple injuries, and the coach was not in favor of starting him after his horrible start. In his second year, 2006, Alex Smith started all 16 games, which would be the only time he would do so for 5 more years. And although he did improve from his rookie year, he had 16 touchdowns and 16 interceptions, the 49ers still finished the 2006 season 7-9. And times on the field got so rough for the young quarterback that the crowd would chant for David Carr, the backup of the 49ers, to replace Alex Smith, after seeming to be a draft bust. The 2007 season started with Smith leading a game-winning drive against the Arizona Cardinals. But in his next game, Alex Smith injured his right shoulder after getting sacked by a Seahawks defensive tackle. Smith then missed the next 3 games and returned to the starting lineup on October 28, 2007. And despite Alex Smith being back, the 49ers didn't win another game until November 25th. Among all the NFL quarterbacks who qualify for league statistics, only the Jets' Kellen Clemens had a worse passer rating than Smith. And after some examination from the medical team on the 49ers, Smith was put on injured reserve, ending his 2007 season. And to this point in Alex Smith's career, he had thrown 31 interceptions to only 19 touchdowns. Alex Smith entered the 2008 training camp competing for the starting job with Shaun Hill, who had won both of his games that he started in 2007. And despite being the number 1 overall pick, Alex lost the starting job and didn't play a single snap in 2008. And entering the 2009 season, Alex Smith took a pay cut to guarantee that the team would not move on from him. After the pay cut, Smith said that he was ready to compete for the starting job against Shaun Hill. Alex started 11 games in 2009 and had 18 touchdowns and only 12 interceptions, which seemed to be the best year of his career. But despite that, the 49ers still went 8-8 and missed the playoffs. And entering the 2011 season, something was different, and his name was Jim Harbaugh. And to this point, Alex Smith was considered one of the biggest draft busts in NFL history. And the 49ers were a really bad place for a young quarterback. In his first 5 years in the NFL, Alex Smith had 3 different head coaches, 7 different offensive coordinators, and 17 different starting wide receivers. And that's ridiculous. You can't succeed with that kind of stability. And Alex Smith has since talked about how dysfunctional the 49ers were. But now he had a good head coach for the first time in his career. And starting the 2011 season, Smith had the best year in his career. Starting all 16 games, he threw 17 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. And Smith was finally fitting into the role of number 1 pick. He led the 49ers to a 13-3 record and a first-round bye, and then a playoff game against the Saints. And in his first playoff game, with 2 minutes and 18 seconds left, in the fourth quarter, Alex Smith put on a show in the biggest game of his career.
Smith on 4th down. He will take it himself for a first down and more. Alex Smith is in. Touchdown. From their own 34-yard line, empty backfield. Breeze throws. Jimmy Graham makes the catch inside the 30. And Graham is inside the 10. And he takes it all the way for a Saints go-ahead touchdown. 66 yards from Breeze to Graham. Smith on 2nd down. He throws and it's caught by Vernon Davis. And Davis is inside the 30. And the 49ers are in field goal range with 31 seconds remaining. 47 yards. Smith on 3rd and 3. He throws to the end zone and the catch is made by Vernon Davis.
Those last heroic plays redefined Alex Smith's career. He was no longer that draft bust that had been overshadowed by Aaron Rodgers. He was now his own story, and that was just his first comeback. From draft bust to franchise quarterback. And even though the 49ers lost in the NFC Championship game by a last-second field goal, Alex Smith played well, and it really wasn't his fault that they lost that game. And in his last year as a 49er, he had an incredible start, having 13 touchdowns in 10 games and leading the 49ers to a 7-2 record, before getting a concussion against the Rams. And although he was cleared 2 weeks after, Jim Harbaugh had already given the starting job to Colin Kaepernick. And here's what you guys gotta understand. Generally, when a team brings in a new head coach, that new head coach wants a quarterback that he chose and that fits his system. So this was Harbaugh's excuse to replace Alex Smith. And Alex Smith would not start another game for the 49ers. He sat on the sideline helpless as Colin Kaepernick led his team all the way to the Super Bowl, and watched as they lost by a last-second field goal to the Baltimore Ravens. Smith was then traded to the Kansas City Chiefs for a second-round pick. Smith, for the next 4 seasons, became a respectable and efficient quarterback that we know today. He seemed to make the Chiefs contenders every year, and in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs traded up to draft Patrick Mahomes, 10th overall. Alex Smith responded with this.
Smith throwing, caught, and getting into the end zone is Kareem Hunt. Play clock is all the way down to 1. Smith winds up, goes deep downfield, and getting free is Tyreek Hill to give Kansas City the lead. And Smith, he fires deep, and that's going to be caught on the run by Kareem Hunt. Inside the 20, inside the 10, all the way for a Kansas City touchdown.
A 5-0 start, 27 total touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions. He led the Chiefs to a 10-6 record. And even though he had an incredible year, just like Harbaugh, Andy Reid had brought in a new quarterback that he wanted for his system. Alex Smith was then traded to the Washington football team for cornerback Kendall Fuller and a 3rd-round pick. He led the Washington football team to a 6-3 record, but against the Houston Texans on November 18, 2018, Smith suffered a spiral and compound fracture in his tibia and fibula in his right leg when he was sacked by Kareem Jackson and J.J. Watt. After the play, Smith was carted off the field and brought immediately into surgery at the nearest hospital. Following the initial surgery, Smith developed a life-threatening infection, which required him to undergo 17 surgeries, including 8 across 4 separate hospital stays over the period of 9 months. Doctors had suggested an amputation above the knee might be his only option, before performing skin grafts and an operation transferring muscle from his left quadricep to his right to save it. And guys, at this point, he had gone through being a draft bust, being replaced on his team when he was playing the best football of his life, not once but twice. And after getting one of the worst injuries in NFL history that got infected so bad that he could have died, after 2 years of recovery, he returned to the field on Week 5, 2020 against the Los Angeles Rams. Alex Smith then went on to complete 168 passes for 1,500 yards and 6 touchdowns, and led the Washington football team to a division championship. And not just returning from injury was a comeback. At this point, his whole career is one of the greatest comeback stories in NFL history. Alex then won the most well-earned Comeback Player of the Year award ever. And although he never won a Super Bowl or broke any passing records, to me, Alex Smith is an all-time great, because he overcame anything that the National Football League could throw at him. And despite all the adversity in his career, he never quit or complained, and came back even when it seemed impossible, which showed his determination and love for the game. And even though we as football fans can fight about who we like better and whose team is better, we can all agree when we see a truly great player. And here is where I need your help. Let's start something. Let's make it the Alex Smith Comeback Player of the Year. So if you agree, go post about it with social media with the hashtag Alex Smith Award, or just leave a comment. Well, I hope Alex Smith has a great retirement. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. But thanks for watching, guys. Until next time.